Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Boxing. I'm Leti.
I'm LB.
Let's get into our trilogy.
Ooh, let's get it.
Oh, it's a long time coming. So we have Juan Francisco Estrada out of Mexico
El Gallo
versus Roman Gonzalez out of Nicaragua.
Chocolatito.
Yay! Pound for pound.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. It's been a long kind of time coming for this trilogy, and we just got done watching the press conference.
Yep.
And what'd you think?
I'm excited for this fight, of course. Everybody knows that I'm excited for this fight. I'm always excited. And I've been excited for this fight since the very ending of the last fight. The last fight, Estrada was the victor. And I thought Chocolatito had won that fight. But, that takes nothing away from the fight. This fight goes back, some styles, are just meant for each other. And I feel like Chocolatito and Estrada, their styles mix so well that no matter when they get in the ring, it's always going to be an action-packed fight.
Oh, for sure.
And and it's it's interesting because about this time, probably about 10 years ago, is when they first got in the ring together. The first time they got into the ring together, Chocolatito was the champion, and his first chance at a world title, Estrada actually moved down in weight to challenge, Chocolatito.
Who wouldn't though?
Yeah, to challenge him for his, his first title. I think he was like 22 years old. And so that's that was interesting to see, and it was an amazing fight, and it left people wanting to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward to last year, we finally we got the rematch, and then after that we want to see it again for the trilogy. But that's just kind of like the history. But go ahead.
I just think that because they were so action packed, maybe it left, like you said, some people wanted more. I think they just need to settle it. Third fight, whoever wins was just a better champ. It's gonna be exciting to watch them. Like you said, the lightweight division. They're just action-packed, and they're really exciting to watch because you don't want to get your eyes off the TV because something can happen because they do so much within a few seconds. And when I watch them fight, I was telling you, damn, their defense is they don't have enough time to use their defense as much just because there's just so many punches being thrown at once. Now, I do got to say that Estrada for me gets hit a little bit more than Chocolatito, even though they both get hit. Again, because it's just hella punches. I think that Chocolatito has a little bit more defense and blocking and moving with some of the punches compared to Estrada. But they both can take punches, obviously. None of them got knocked down on either one of their fights. And let's see if we're going to see something different on the third fight.
Yeah, and I kind of go up about the defense. I was watching an interview with with Estrada, and he was talking about how the lower weights have to fight. They have to fight action-packed fights because to gain that attention and to gain these paydays. So it doesn't shock me that you see probably less defense in these type of matchups. And then and that's not even you also got to factor in that both Estrada and Chocolatito are offensive wizards, so they both have so many different offensive skills. They're two legends in the sport. They're so polished in their different styles. I mean, you got Chocolatito who's a pressure fighter, and and he's coming forward. I mean, if you ever seen his pressure, his pressure is relentless, and it gets to anyone, whether it be a polished fighter such as Estrada, or even a prospect or a fighter on the rise in Martinez. And so you really can't gauge the pressure of Chocolatito until you actually get in the ring with him. He does. You said his defense was a little bit better for you than Estrada. He does come with that. He does come with that high guard and that peekaboo style.
Them Chocolatito gloves.
Yeah. He got that peekaboo style, and he also he shifts back and forth, which gives changes the range a lot. And so that's what that's kind of what he uses for defense. But yeah, and then you got Estrada on the other side, who's more of a boxer, kind of like a boxer puncher. And he likes to use, he has good feet. He uses the ring. And even in their first matchup, he used a lot of the ring. The second matchup, it seemed like he wanted to stand and fight a little bit more. But yeah, like I said, their styles are just meant for each other, and they're always going to deliver action-packed fights. And we just can't wait. We just can't wait for this.
Yeah, but getting into that, I kind of have my thoughts as to who I'm think that is gonna win the belt. But just kind of like watching their fights and just watching their previous fights, which were Estrada was like 2 months ago, I think he fought, and Chocolatito was like earlier this year. I think I'm leaning more towards Chocolatito with winning the trilogy. I think, again, for more of the reasons where he can bang and he can use a little bit more of his defense-wise. And I think he's a little bit more strategic, even though it's just they're letting their hands go and they're throwing a lot of punches. I feel like Chocolatito is a little more patient. He could see his punches a little bit more than Estrada. Not to take nothing away from Estrada, because Estrada, he takes punches, he gives punches, and like you said, he moves around the ring kind of, but I just feel that Chocolatito's gonna get the best about this fight.
Yeah, and they talk about Chocolatito. When he fights, he's coming forward pressure, but it's almost like a high-speed chess. It feels like, you know what I mean. And the thing that I always loved about him is how he places punches, and his punch selection is amazing.
Yes.
In Chocolatito, and he's a good body puncher, but he always mixes up his attack, which while he's pressuring you, which makes him just such an amazing fighter. And I will say this, I talked about them both being so polished. Both fighters throw in combinations, both are good body punchers. Like I said, this is just two legends, two titans going to war.
And ain't no lose on either situation. They're both going down on history as well, amazing boxers, fighters. And the fans win, they win. They get to squash the beef and just finally say whether it's Chocolatito or Estrada.
Yeah, and I do want to talk a little bit on the previous fight. I did think that Chocolatito did win that last fight. But that takes nothing away from how great the fight was. And it was a very, very close. It was a good competitive fight. I did have Chocolatito winning that fight, and so but like I said, it's not like Estrada didn't have success in the fight, and he did have a lot of success in the fight, but I just thought that Chocolatito did enough to get the win, but we know sometimes everyone wants to see it, and this made it more likely for us to get this trilogy.
Yeah, and I feel like if it's gonna be whoever the winner, I think they need to put the step on the pump, or whatever they say, step on the gas, so that it's clear as to who won. I don't want to hear that it's a damn draw, like somebody needs to outdo the other boxer. So there's no more like, oh, I think this person won, this person. Just kind of like that Canelo and Triple G trilogy. It was clearly that, Canelo won that fight. Yeah. So I want to make sure that it's, clean cut.
Yeah.
And then we leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay.
But tell us, who do you think is going to win? Did you tell us already?
Yeah, so all right, so hopefully I don't take too long on this one.
Oh, here we go.
But yeah, like I said, I did think that Chocolatito won the last fight. I thought he won the two matchups against Estrada, but they were both very close and action-packed fights. I actually think that this fight is actually going to be closer than the previous fights. I say that because just the way that Chocolatito fights, he's known for his pressure, his come forward, and the first time they got in the ring, Estrada wasn't, there's no way he could have prepared for that pressure, and and so the second time, he was more ready for the pressure, and I just think, the third time, I just think that he'll be more, he knows what to expect and how to prepare, and you even asked Estrada, what did you do anything different? And he was like, for this fight, really all I gotta do is really get stronger and stamina, and that's really
that's what you need.
Yeah, but that's
the way to fight.
yeah, but especially against Chocolatito, who's known to wear down his opponents by his nonstop pressure and going to the body, and so he's not going to be. And a lot of the times, when you're in a fight, the pressure, it tends to drain you, even when you're not even, getting hit with shots. But, when you're in there, you're more comfortable in there, for the, this being the third time, the pressure usually tends to have less than an effect. And so that's why I kind of see this fight being closer. I still think that Chocolatito is going to be able to pull off this win.
Okay.
But I just think it's going to be a lot closer.
Closer than the other two fights?
I think it's going to be a lot closer than the other two fights. So I'm going to go with Chocolatito. But I think that Estrada will actually look better in this fight than he did the previous two matchups. Estrada is also, he's the naturally bigger fighter. And he also, he's the naturally bigger fighter. And he's also, he also has the length on Chocolatito. I do think that Estrada is going to actually box and move more in this fight than he did in the previous ones. Leading up, in one of his interviews, he talked about, how he had, his knee was kind of bothering him. So maybe that's why he was, sat in trade more. But I do expect him to use the ring a lot more than he did in the second fight.
I don't know. I think that once they get into it, I just think they're going to want to sit there and trade. I see him moving around, a bit, but I think as the moment comes in, he's a fighter. And I just feel like they're just going to exchange similar to the other fights.
And to go off of that, you think they're going to change? And that's why I am going with Chocolatito because that is Chocolatito's fight.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going with him because that's his fight. He wants to get in close. He wants to cut the distance. So if he's going to be in there and trade, I think that's the reason why Chocolatito is going to go ahead and get this done.
Yeah, and also Estrada, he got to come prepared. He talked about one of his interviews that in one of the fights with Chocolatito, like it was, difficult for him. Like you say, he's naturally the bigger fighter, and it was difficult for him to drop to that weight, and he didn't do the nutrition thing properly to lose the weight. So he said he was just, as soon as he got done, weighing in, he made the weight. He just made some bad decisions after that. And, he got a little sick from it. So it's just, I hope that he, both of the fighters are 100%. And I hope that they prepared, the right way so that we can see the best versions of themselves for the trilogy. Yeah.
That one was at 107. This was at 115. And that, that kind of speaks to, the greatness of Chocolatito too, because, a lot of people thought that, him cutting the weight, that was, the reason why Chocolatito had the edge over him. And so, leading into that second fight, Estrada was like, I'm the bigger guy, I don't have to kill myself to make the weight. And for Chocolatito, being the smaller guy, I thought he won that I thought he won that. And that was 10 years later, he was more, Estrada was more developed as a fighter, and he talked about like that first fight. I was a young pup. And he goes, so now going into the second fight, I'm more polished as a fighter, and I'm ready. And so for Chocolatito to still rise, well, in my opinion, and win the fight, I was like, man, Chocolatito was really great, and I really wish that the decision went to Chocolatito.
Which one are you talking about? The second?
I'm talking about in the second fight.
Second one.
Just because that would have been such a great win. Just for the simple fact of, all the things that I just talked about. But, but we're here in the trilogy. We can't wait. They need to start putting some more respect on these divisions. And we talked about these lower weight classes and how much that they've been giving us great fights. I mean, this weight class, especially, they had the four kings, as Jesse Bam, as Bam would like to say. You have Chocolatito, you got Estrada, you got Quadras, you got Sorambisai. And, for them being the top in the division, they're all mixing it up and fighting each other. The exact thing that we want all these other divisions to do. And, so we got to give them the respect for doing that and jumping in the ring and actually settling the score and seeing, who's the best out of these four kings, So, you got to tip your hat to them.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you would want to do that, right? As a boxer, you want to show that you're the best and you want to go down in history for the right reasons. And I think they're doing what we want to see, giving us these fights we want to watch. And well, that's what's up for them.
Yeah, exactly. We see, and the other thing about these people, these champions and, these kings in the top division, they're fighting everybody, whether it be themselves or you got top prospects coming out. You know, you don't ever hear them talking about, you know, high risk, low reward down there.
Yeah, and
you know, they bumping down there.
Yeah, and so again, shout out to them.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
enjoy watching those fights.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what anybody says about they're not exciting or whatever, lightweight. It's hella fun to watch them fight.
And as you would say, putazos on putazos.
All the way through. All the way through.
But yeah, you know, so you don't want to miss this fight.
Yeah.
I got
Chocolatito.
we got Chocolatito winning I got him winning a close decision. And we just can't wait. You don't want to miss. This is going to be on DAZN. Also, you got Martinez. Martinez is on the undercard. Who's been linked to fight you know, Sonny Edwards and Jesse Bam Rodriguez. And so we can't. So you know, you definitely don't want to miss the undercard as well. But yeah, that's all we got. So thanks for tuning in, y'all.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or talk your shit. And we out.